Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
You are, in fact, watching The Dorkening.
You're watching The Dorkening. Stay tuned.
For all the geek news everywhere. Dorkening.
And this is The Dorkening. Trust me, I'm smarter than these guys.
Because The Dorkening is the best and most educational entertainment and information source that the Trauma team knows of. It's the best. The Dorkening.
Hey, happy Tuesday, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Splash Pages on the Dorkening. I am Kari, and I am your Fleo, your Cthulhu behind the keyboard. And we have got so much going on in the show tonight. San Diego Comic-Con just got over, and there's been so much news released, not just there, but everywhere else in the comic book world. Going to go ahead and just start diving into saying hi to everybody. Drew, how are you doing?
What?
What? I'm pushing the wrong buttons. Drew, hi.
I'm fine. I was confused, and now I'm. Hi. Hold on.
Hi.
Wait. Oh, if we're clearly switching roles, it's like, hey everybody, it's your man Velvet J, and you know what day it is? It's Tuesday, and we're here, and it's Splash Pages.
Get out now.
Go to the next one.
Now we go to Velvet. How's it going, Velvet?
Hey, it's me, your man, Velvet J, and I'm here, and it's Splash Pages. Wow, what a way to start the show. Anyway, it's Tuesday night, Splash Pages, award-winning podcast, and we have a ton of news that came out of San Diego Comic-Con and other news outlets in this past week. So we're going to have a great time, and now I'm going to roll it over to my man, Jar Jar Jeremy. Bum, bum, bum.
Glory, God damn it. It's me, Jar Jar Jeremy. It's Tuesday night, and I'm on Splash Pages, and I look like Sasquatch. Nobody can spot me.
God.
Hi to Tom, dog.
I'm sorry. That broke me for a minute.
As everybody's saying, there's a ton of news, so let's get to it.
I just need to acknowledge, Jeremy, that your impression of me with that "Get Out" was just so spot on. That was so good.
You complain, Drew. I've heard you complain about it, and I'm last as always. I was like, here's the chance. Here's his chance to be the first one on. To have all the Jesus, Jeremy, you scared me.
Is it complaining?
Fixed it.
Is it complaining if it's true?
No,
So,
that's why I switched it up, but I didn't tell you first. So.
Yeah, you crafty witch. Okay. All right. But yes, gentlemen, another year of us not attending San Diego Comic-Con. Sad. But as always, there is a ton of news, comics, some media, but I think we can say this was one of the first Comic-Cons in a long time, maybe I want to say decades or two, that it was really more all comics, right?
Mostly. Yeah, it had I think almost probably like 90% of it was just DC, Marvel, Image, and everybody announcing toys being announced too, like video games. It was a Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And I know Marvel pulled out of Hall H, but at the same time, at the first day of the con, they still dropped the Marvels trailer.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, that looks so good too. Drew, by the way, hey, Deadpool King Tut will be there on Friday to kick poo.
You and what army, King? You. When I'm in the suit, you can't tell but I'm flipping off because Disney characters don't have more than 2 fingers. But when I'm doing this, it's the Disney version of a middle finger. But back to non-antagonistic banter. But yeah, there's a ton of stuff. It took me at least an hour and a half to sort through all of the news just to get everything. Joe, I'm working. Leave me alone. Well, I would actually rather like to see what you guys have to say first, just so you know.
I'll start right off with how about Batman and Joker? And Joker no longer. I was always thought myself that Joker knew who Batman was and kind of just kept it under his lid because he's crazy, insane, and wants to take down bats all by himself. And it turns out that all the times that he's attacked the Bat family and everybody, Bruce Wayne even, taking Bruce Wayne's money and everything, has all just been happy coincidences or unhappy coincidences.
Is that a recent, Jar Jar? Is that a recent development? Like something that
came out of is it Night Terrors?
Terrors
#1.
This is the Night Terrors Joker. Yeah.
And supposedly it's continuity.
I don't know.
Even like Barbara Gordon being attacked and Tim Drake and Jason Todd and all that stuff. Just
I don't know. As Velvet, as our clown consultant, how do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, this must be a retelling then, because he's certainly known in the past. I mean, he's whispered it in his ears. He's told other people. I mean, this is no secret. It's been done. I mean, I think it's just, once again, it's just all the interpretation of the writer.
Okay. Yeah.
If you read the episode, there's a very or the comic. I've read all of them that have been released so far,
Mhm.
and I think it is kind of an assumption
eater.
on the. Shh, I'm allowed. That it's kind of an assumption on the part of the way it's being written, because in these books, insomnia has taken over, put most superheroes and the world to sleep, and is searching for something through their nightmares. And so, as you see in the thing, this is the biggest bit of spoiler you're going to get, but in this one, the Joker, there's no Batman. Well, there is a Batman, but won't spoil that. But he ends up having to have a very boring 9-to-5 job, which is like apparently one of the worst nightmares the Joker can have. Is being like, I work at Wayne Enterprises. I just fill out forms every day. Oh my God. Although he has a little secret going on with Bats, but it's like he's pretty sure that Bats is gone. Who is this person? So it is kind of a retelling.
Okay.
But yeah, but it could be that in this particular dreamscape that he is trapped in, he doesn't actually know that Batman is Bruce Wayne because of all the different things that are happening.
Right.
And it does make
So with it
does
being
make
a
sense with
dream,
the-
it doesn't necessarily make it reality to the actual.
Oh, so maybe it's
DC
part
canon
of,
story.
and also part of Joker's nightmare is not knowing who.
Yeah.
Batman is.
Okay, that Jeremy, good point.
There is a lot of back and forth on why are all these flying people in capes jumping around town. So,
Okay. Right.
yeah, so it's a very fun comic though.
Okay.
And
I've been thinking of checking it out.
Cool.
I'm
What
so
else?
intrigued.
What else you got, Mr. Jar Jar?
Also, I have that. Well, since we're
J-Bo.
talking
Hey, J-Bo.
from SAG and AFTRA, how this wonderful strike is actually a blessing in disguise for Comic-Con, and how everybody has finally come out to a con where like it's all about comics and all about that maybe next year, if the strike's not still going on, maybe San Diego might see this as an opportunity to see that this is what the fans might actually want. I mean, probably still have something of a Hall H because that does bring in the money.
Well, of course.
But be more focused on the comics.
Well, you know, and this kind of reminds me of comic cons of yesteryear. And like, for instance, Velvet, I'm sure you remember how New York Comic Con used to be. And then when Walking Dead came out, that's when Comic Con New York exploded and there were so many more people. And then it became even bigger and even more, I don't want to say convoluted, but crowded is definitely the word. And then
2012.
Yeah, exactly. And then now, you know, it's died down ever since kind of like the Walking Dead buzz has died down a bit. But it's at one point like it was huge.
Yeah,
So I feel like
it was getting to the point. I mean, I went from like the I want to say the mid 2000s up until maybe like 2018, maybe. And it just the amount of people. It just got more anxiety ridden. It was like too much. It was like walking through the halls, and especially if you got a costume on, it was just becoming worse and worse. I mean, as a cosplayer, it just became more.
Yeah. Yep.
But that's why we are more localized these days, and fine folks are all going to be going to Terrificon in just a few more days.
You will be missed. So you need to send us a list of all the free merch you want us to collect for you.
I just want you guys to come back with plenty of content for me to chop up.
There you go.
There you go. But honestly, like I said, I think the thing that I really enjoy about this, the writer's strike, and now that actors, is I feel like it's really forced people to confront the reality of the behind the scenes. Like it's very easy when you just enjoy the content, but now you know about what the writers go through, about the particulars of the business, and now once it's out, you can't put that genie back in. You know,
I agree,
and I think that's really important for us as to understand, both as writing as a career, the necessity of it, and also how, again, the actors should be compensated as for their performance because they invest a lot and such. And the same thing for the directors, but the writers should also be better compensated for their contribution, both in terms of what they do on the spot, which is something like, for instance, Rich, the last time you had brought up that a writer who had done a lot of work for Miss Marvel hadn't seen any sort of accreditation, any sort of bump in pay, or any sort of recognition beyond her name in the credits.
Yeah, she got no financial compensation whatsoever to totally rewrite the script for a Disney series that was very popular.
Right, exactly. So, that's, I think, the problem being. And, these people who are making these bigger decisions, their paycheck isn't getting hit, but some of these writers are struggling to put food on the table, to support families. It's a big reality. And
yeah, Drew, and you say about lifting the fog. I mean, I had no idea some like series regulars weren't really making proper compensation. I just assumed once you were a series regular on any series that was popular in any way, that you were making like really good money, and apparently that is not the case.
And I think the other reason why you have a lot of actors joining is because those actors aren't just actors. A lot of them have been producers, they've been writers, they've been sometimes even directors. So they've been in those shoes, and they know how much of a challenging but rewarding experience it is. Even if maybe you didn't get compensated the way you want, it's that. So they understand, and that's why I think they're standing with the writers, and it shows because it reminds you that television and movies are a collaborative effort. Everybody plays a part. It's like theater. There's no such thing as a small role in theater. So, I don't know how long it's going to last, but this feels a little different than some of the writer strikes we have seen.
I think this is a long haul, and I think it's going to be a while before you see a budge from the big guys.
Oh, totally. And to be quite honest, if I can say one more thing before we move on from it, I also feel like this is necessary for us, especially because it's halting a lot of Marvel projects. I feel like this is helping us with the burnout.
Oh yeah. We'll be wanting this stuff by the time it comes back. We'll be like fiending for it.
Yeah. I also think I'm hoping that the time away can help with better quality and not so much rushed, pumped out, because let's just be real here. Marvel burnout is real, and I think we're all feeling it. So,
I'm going to pull up a couple of the comments real quick.
Sure.
Before we get to the next thing. Joe's saying Jim Lee says DC is wanting San Diego Comic-Con to brought back to comic books as per his Instagram.
Right. He did that.
And then
he had a big presence at San Diego.
A lot of the actors supported, right? Yep. Right. Which we acknowledged. Thank you, J-Bo.
Yeah. As well as if it were not for those, we would not have the stories flow so much. And sorry about my little moment there. Beyond headbutting myself earlier today, which is only possible in my world. I just dumped an entire soda all over the side of me. So I was kind of bring things up. But so back to the news.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, to finish up my stuff, the Eisner Awards were awarded today as well.
Yes.
My last but not least, and I did a few of the ones that would probably interest us the most. I didn't get into all the nominations because there were quite a bit. But best short story went to Finding Batman by Kevin Conroy and J-Bone in DC Pride 2022, which came out last year. Best single issue was Batman One Day, The Riddler by Tom King and Mitch Gerards.
Nice. Who
Terrificon.
Who me and Jeremy, you and me are kind of doing a tag team interview. Yes. You're doing Tom King and I'm doing Mitch Gerards. So that'll be interesting.
It'd be kind of cool if we could get them together. Be like, hey guys, by the way, just come together.
Yeah, that reminds me. I'll have to send you, because I wrote down some questions that I think that I'll pass to you if you want to use any of them. By all means.
All right.
Continue.
Best continuing series is Nightwing by Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo.
Yes. Awesome.
Best limited series was The Human Target by Tom King and Greg Smallwood.
Okay.
Best
Nice.
new series by Chip Zdarsky was Public Domain.
Okay.
Best writer, James Tynion the fourth.
Mhm.
Best penciler, Greg Smallwood. Best cover artist, Bruno Redondo again.
Oh, nice.
Best colors was by Jordi Belair. I don't know the name. I actually have to look that up.
I know of him. He's a good colorist. I've seen him.
Best lettering went to Stan Sakai. We all know him from Usagi Yojimbo.
Hey, good for him.
Yes.
Nice.
But that's about all I got from that. There was quite a bit of other winners too, but they weren't so much comic related. They were like more like best muralist, best stuff like that. So best children's young age books and stuff like that.
Okay. Well, hey, listen, congratulations to everybody, both the people who Jeremy, you mentioned, and people we didn't. You know, that's an Eisner.
Being nominated is kind of a big thing. If we had more time, I would have went over through all the nominations and stuff.
Yeah,
it would have been like one whole show just doing that, though.
Yeah, but you know, again, just because they didn't get nominated doesn't make some of the people, especially people we've reviewed, yet to review, gonna interview, all that, doesn't make them any less important. So there's a lot of good talent out there. So to those who won, congrats. To those who didn't, better luck next year. Keep doing the great work, everybody.
Please,
I'm going to piggyback off of your mention of children's stuff real quick for the only piece of news that I've actually brought this week. And that is the Marvel Trick or Read event that will be going on.
Nice.
It's kind of like a free comic book day, only they just figure in 5 titles that they're going to do for Halloween reads. Your local comic book shop, if you look it up on Marvel, you can see which ones will be hosting this.
Right.
The titles that they decided they're releasing this year are Amazing Spider-Man, The Birth of Tombstone #1, which is a reprint of Amazing Spider-Man #3 by writers Ed Wells and John Romita Jr.
Okay.
They're releasing Captain Marvel, Higher, Faster, Further #1, and that is a reprint of Captain Marvel 2012 #1 by writer Kelly Sue DeConnick and artist Dexter Soy.
Right.
There will be Moon Knight, Night of Blood #1, which is a reprint of Moon Knight 18 by writer Jed MacKay. And and artist Federico Sabatini.
Okay.
There will be Star Wars, The High Republic, Attack of the Huts #1. That is a reprint of Star Wars, The High Republic 2021 #5 by writer Kevin Scott and artist Ario Anindito. And then the last one for all of the kids is Spidey and His Amazing Friends Halloween Trick or Read 2023. And you get to have Spidey, Ghost Spider, and Miles as they face classic villains and more in the spectacular special filled with all new stories from my first comic reader. So lots of little fun stuff for the kids. Well, fun stuff for the adults and something fun for the kids thrown in.
Cool.
Well, I'm assuming that's for October, Kari?
Yep. It will be, where does it say the Trick or Read event date is? Currently, it just says it's in October. I don't see a date list. Oh no, it's on October 4th. So you have plenty of time to get in.
Usually in the beginning of the month.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, trick or treat early, I guess.
Yeah. See, Halloween's my birthday, so I always try to do. There's another event that Neil Gaiman sponsors. It's All Hallows Read, and it's giving out books to people instead of candy for the month.
Neil would.
Well, and you can sign up. It turned into this huge event. You can sign up, and people will ship you books if you do volunteer to like walk around your city and hand them out. And you can pick age ranges if you're going to have like a gathering in a library with a bunch of this age group. They'll give you.
Man, I would love to do that because no offense, buying candy is expensive.
Yes.
You know, and on top of it, I like where I live. We're on a dead end street. We don't get a lot of people, so I always feel like anytime I buy the candy, I end up eating it myself, and I don't need those calories.
Yeah, nobody comes to my house. I have this weird dark road. People are just like, nah, kids
Yeah,
aren't allowed down there.
yeah. They start horror movies off like that, Jar Jar.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's unfortunate in my place as well. We're lucky if we get 5 kids, and I just end up eating the rest. So I just buy one sad.
Yeah, I don't even get the candy that I like because like I'll end up eating it all myself.
Yeah.
Facebook user is Tim Jones.
Yes.
Clearly,
it was like, who is it? Oh, there we go.
Tim Jones.
Oh, and he's got Jeremy drawing.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it, man.
That's really great.
In the hands. Maybe I should bring a frame with me.
You should totally bring a frame with you. But yeah, so it's going to be Halloween.
He still hasn't told me how much it costs. I've been asking him every time. I'm like, Tim, what do I owe you?
I thought he said before $20 is what he charges.
Oh, did
3 million
Okay, well,
credits.
that's fine.
Yeah.
I just want to know.
3 million yen.
I feel bad because at the con I was at, when I asked him to do it, I was just feeling overwhelmed and I had to get out.
Well,
we do what we do.
You'll see him again this time.
Well,
so
more San Diego Comic-Con news, guys.
Go for it.
For those that don't know, David Dashmalian, who is also known as the Spotted Man?
Polka Dot
Suicide
Man.
Squad?
Polka Dot
Is
Man.
that what it is? The
No,
Spotted Man?
it's Polka Dot Man.
Anyone can help me out?
Polka Dot Man.
Polka Dot Man. Thank you. So apparently his days and nights are haunted by visions of knights versus samurai. And so apparently a friend of his works for Todd McFarlane, and he said, hey, can I pitch this? And he pitched it to Todd, and Todd was like, well, I would want to see that. And so now they're putting it out, Knights versus Samurai.
That's awesome.
What do you think of that?
There you go.
I'm down.
I think it looks really good.
And not only are we supporting a great actor, David has done such great work. He was Abracadabra in the CW's Flash. He was, I can never remember his name, but he was one of the crew in Ant-Man, and he was the Polka Dot Man in James Gunn's Suicide Squad. And he's been getting into comics a lot lately. And from what my friend James Hannon from the League of Supervillains says, he is just such a nice guy. And it's funny because my friend, when he met him, he had him sign the first appearance of Polka Dot Man, and everybody just lost it. It was so cool.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it seems like a super creative guy for sure.
Yeah, and plus,
so moving right on because there's just so much news. Spider-Man 2 video game was announced for the PS5. We got the release date, the gameplay, everything we know. We've got Carnage in there. We got Harry Osborn. Miles Morales is in this. And it looks like, let's see, cut to the chase. It's coming out October 20th. It's going to be out on PS5.
Hey, J-Bo.
October 20th of this year.
For
all you video game fanatics out there, definitely check it out. The trailer looks great. You can check it out on YouTube.
The first Spider-Man was too difficult for me. I'm going to have to pass and just watch the highlights on YouTube.
Watch people's playthroughs.
I only did it once for that game, and I watched my son play through it, and it was really cool game. Don't get me wrong, but just too difficult for me. So, but it was all the cutscenes and everything. It was a cool story too. So I might just watch the YouTube cutscenes.
Absolutely. I mean, and on top of Velvet, the design of Venom we just saw there, that's similar to the design that I think we saw on Mac Gargan when he was Venom. So it, interesting choice. So.
Absolutely. And I believe Craven is the antagonist in this one. So, they're tying that in with the fantastic
Craven movie, I'm assuming he was about to say.
Yeah.
I wonder if
And it's funny because I keep seeing Craven pop up in things, and I keep getting like a Mean Girls moment where I'm just like, stop trying to make Craven work. Like,
We're not
Craven,
gonna like the movie. Stop it.
yeah, he's like Craven is a new fetch. Like, stop trying to make Craven work.
Hey,
Not
by the
happening.
way, I'd like you all to meet my new friend Craven.
Exactly. Like suddenly the Sinister Six is the plastics,
Oh,
and it,
God.
you just see there's like, Craven comes in, hey guys, like, you can't sit with us.
Hey, I brought you a fur coat. I skinned it myself.
Yeah,
Pressed this bugger down and just cut it off him while I was still breathing.
Exactly. And then that just gives a completely new license to all the other characters in Mean Girls. Because if anything, I feel like that Deadpool would be the kid who's, oh my God, Danny DeVito, I love your work. And that's just a Deadpool thing to say. Okay. I mean, Venom.
Well, yeah.
Hey.
Buff dude.
Is Velvet okay?
I hope so.
I hope so. I don't want to start my news and then he pops in, because then I'm like, I'm on a roll. Like,
yeah,
must be butter.
Exactly. Get out.
Damn.
Do you think I wasn't going to catch that? Must be butter. Thank you.
Yeah,
well,
he was having a video lag there for a little bit, so.
Okay, so maybe I could just go through some of the
here he is.
Oh, okay, thank God.
There he is. It's
Mr.
Rich Joker.
Well, I noticed that there is something weird going on when we opened, because your microphone, Joker.
Yeah,
did not.
I don't know when I cut out. I have no idea.
Oh, right when you were getting ready to go in the next topic. But when we were actually opening, the mic mutes when the things are going on, and you were just talking to your video.
I thought that was...
Okay, thank you, God. The whole time I was like,
oh, you guys can't see it?
Yeah. Because I was like, who the fuck is talking? While the zombie is talking about coffee or things. And I just
it's not supposed to happen.
I'm like, oh my God.
I tried to mute you and it didn't work, and I was just like, okay, we get the like little kitty.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I hope he's talking to his cat, because that's Harley. But yeah, so Rich, just to catch you up, so you missed a hilarious anecdote, because the last thing you were talking about was Craven.
Mm-hmm.
And I made the joke that I feel like Craven, it's like in Mean Girls when that one girl keeps trying to get Fetch to work. I feel like Craven is the new Fetch. It's just, like, stop trying to make Craven work. And then the plastics are just the Sinister Six, and it's like, oh my God. So me and my friend Craven, stop. You can't sit with us. No, Craven, you haven't earned it. Like, we don't even know if your movie's going to be good.
Oh my
like,
God.
And then I was just like, oh my God. I was like, I know. I was just like, stop trying to make Craven work, Gretchen.
There is that like jungle moment there, though. That was the only part I actually really liked that much out of that show.
Yeah. But yeah. So what? Yeah, continue, Rich.
I don't know if you guys heard about Gargoyles of Gotham.
That's a Black Label book, right?
Yeah, new Black Label book. And the trailer is really brief, and I really don't know much about it, but the art looked interesting and the trailer looked interesting, so I thought it was worth mentioning. Yeah,
that's Raphael Grampa, right? He's one of the collaborators. Yeah. He worked on one of the Frank Miller Dark Knight Returns books. I think that was The Golden Child. He's an international artist. Yeah, and I think I heard about that trailer too. It was just like it was like a guy trying to escape a building and he's being pursued by Batman, right? Something.
Exactly. And at the end, Batman sort of jumps out at him, and then just some music, and they're like, Gotham, Gargoyles, Gotham.
It's got that nice noir feel to it.
Absolutely.
Which
And I didn't even realize the Black Label was still going on. Like, are they regularly putting stuff out
Yeah,
on that?
they
I didn't feel like they do.
from time to time. Like, I wasn't One Bad Day one of Black Label.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was supposed to be. I don't know if it was, but yeah, it was supposed to be. Yeah, because Rich, anytime you have a book that's usually like really more out there or very mature, you should just assume it's a Black Label book.
Yeah, like the White Knight series. That's all Black Label too, right?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yep.
But now, because of the popularity, it's essentially just I think it's almost kind of transcended a Black Label. Like, it is Black Label books, but now it's its own thing. It's like, we can keep doing this as like,
if you
Black Label,
we'll be here.
Yeah, Black Label is like DC's John Wick. As long as they're loving it, we will keep writing the stories.
Absolutely. And keeping in line with sort of the dark comic noir type feel, our good buddy Kevin Eastman announced that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is going to be doing Last Ronin 2.
Yes.
Yes. With him and Ben Bishop and Paul Waltz. They're keeping that team together. And if you remember at the end of Last Ronin 1, and if not, this could be a spoiler, there are baby turtles just sitting in a terrarium. Now, this is the continuation.
Sweet.
They don't get made into turtle soup.
And
get down the road.
And Kari, just to let you know, I believe the artist on the piece you just showed, I believe that's I believe his name is either Matteo or Mateus Santaluco. He did a lot of work with the IDW Turtles series, the one with Kevin Eastman and Tom Waltz and whatnot. So I believe that's his work. Of course, our resident shellhead, Justin Cooper, would probably be able to tell you.
Right. And Kevin said that it was initially a conversation that him and Peter Laird had back in '87. And after they decided to roll with it in Last Ronin 1, they're like, we want to stay in this universe for a little while. So they're going like another 20 years in the future. And we're going to see what happens next.
Nice.
It seems
so
that
for all you shellheads out there, should be pretty fucking excited.
Yeah, those turtles seem to all carry all sorts of kinds of weapons as well, not just like be trained in one specific. As you can see, they all have sais, they all have nunchaku, they all have their bow staffs.
And the sides. Yeah. Well, I mean, you know what? Again, I did not expect to enjoy Last Ronin as much as I did. Not that I'm not a Turtles fan. It was really great. And
I hadn't read Turtles in a while since the Mirage series.
Yeah.
It was a good return.
And speaking of, if you guys do want a good read, I do recommend the TMNT Stranger Things crossover. That
I need to check that out.
That's already started. Me and our friend Justin Cooper interviewed the artist for it, Pharaoh Pay, and he had nothing but good things to say. And the turtles that you see in that series are more aligned with the Mirage turtles. So, you know, like there's that nice style, especially also since this place in the Stranger Things timeline takes place in between season 2 and 3. So it's a short thing. It's only 5 issues, supposedly. The first issue is already out. I definitely recommend checking it out if you like that sort of thing.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but somebody had posted up in one of our groups, was it the Neko figures, that they're doing all of the Ronin ones, and it's basically you can lay them all, and it's like the cover to cover to cover thing if you buy all of the turtles, and some of them on the side connect together, and some of them on the fronts connect together. So
yes,
there were like a whole bunch more of those to buy.
Yep,
if you're into it, but they look like they went through and opened the box, and it was very, very cool looking.
Yeah.
High detail that you do on those NECA figures.
Yeah, well, we do know someone who knows toys, so and he'll be at Terrificon too, Mr. J-Bo. He's gone now. Okay,
he'll be selling some of them toys too.
Indeed. So, Rich,
moving forward, I got 2 left. For you Mortal Kombat guys, there's a new DLC, Mortal Kombat 1. We have the addition of Peacemaker. We have Omni-Man, A.K. Simmons, and the Homelander.
Yes.
Plus some of the returning characters that we haven't seen in a long time from Mortal Kombat.
Of course. They look great. Oh.
My
So
kid's
all
been
you,
begging me to play I think part 11 a bunch. I'm not a fan of fighting games.
Well, I was reading, Jeremy, that Mortal Kombat in the last 2 or 3 years has dropped drastically in playership. So I think this is an attempt to try to invigorate that with some of these characters that are so popular.
Well, I think the sad thing is, Rich, is that you just kept adding more and more skins, more and more characters, that it just kind of became like a Mortal Kombat version of Super Smash Bros.
Yeah.
You know, just anybody can pop in, and then you kind of lose that fan base because, like you said, it's not the classics. You don't see Shao Kahn and Melina, you know, Johnny Cage and all of them. Those classics that you saw. You know, I mean, hell, Jar Jar, I'm not even part of it, but I've played the Mortal Kombat skin where I could whoop ass as Hellboy. Why?
Oh, really?
Because why not? Why the fuck not? But you know, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I saw that image originally. I was like, my God, what evil super team is that? Because I was like, man, we're fucked.
Well, when Rich had first put it in the chat, I was like, oh, does that mean there's like a new cartoon coming out with all these guys? I was like, what's going on?
No, but speaking of cartoons, after a long wait, we now have Invincible Season 2 coming out.
Yes.
Absolutely. And they even released, when they announced this, they released a one-shot of the young lady right there. She's got a one-shot episode already up on Amazon Prime Video, which I haven't gotten a chance to check out yet.
Cool.
She looks so incredibly bored. Like,
she does right there.
Hanging out, playing with the universe. Yeah.
But Omni-Man, you know, we know he's the bad guy now, so I'm excited to see this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if you guys heard. I didn't hear much about it, but I believe I heard to the grapevine that they are planning on doing a reboot of Ghost Bikers from Mars.
Oh,
no, Biker Mice from Mars.
Right, the cartoon from the late 80s or early 90s, I think.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I got that confused with
Biker Mice from Mars.
Yeah. So I believe it's going to be Ryan Reynolds' company.
Oh,
I can't remember the name, but yeah, they're working on a reboot of that, and I was just like, okay, random
for that.
Random.
I thought interesting. And speaking of nerddom, I've seen a few articles complaining about Secret Invasion and the budget being about $205 million, and I'm like, do you guys realize it's 6 episodes, 6 almost hour-long episodes? It basically means it's two to 2.5 movies worth of time, which normally a movie of a Disney scale is going to be in the 200 to 250 million, and they're giving you 2 to 2.5 movies for that budget. So, I just want to put that out there. People are so delusional sometimes.
I've loved it too. I think it's worth all the millions.
Yeah.
I'm still on the fence about it, but my gripe is of course the necessity of it, and that we already have so many big stories to throw this, and I was like, oh my God. But
I like it because it's something different from that whole world, and it's not like I'm not looking for the big connection. I'm sitting there and I'm sucked into what's going on now with it. Well, I think we only have like 1 or 2 episodes left.
I think season finale is tomorrow night.
I think what it is, Jar Jar, is that it's the thing that we actually kind of want more. Is we want more of those standalone stories, kind of like what DC is doing. Like the worlds are connected, but they can stand on their own, which is how comics used to be. Yeah, you'd have your crossovers,
I can pick and choose what I want to watch.
Exactly. It's more of a variety instead of you have to watch this to understand that, and then this and that, and then it's kind of it's kind of one of the things that I think turned a lot of people off from comics in the first place was the continuity. So it's a real tricky slope.
Well, maybe at the end of Secret Invasion they'll finally tie in the fact that there's a half-dead Eternal hanging out of the planet. Nobody mentions it ever.
Listen, here's my bet. I'm still holding out hope that the actor who was I think his name is Cal McDonald. He was Shooter McGavin in Happy Gilmore.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's in the show. My bet, he ends up being Norman Osborn, which would be the greatest reveal.
Got the hair.
Okay. We've seen him, I think, twice now.
I know, but that's just me. That's what I was hoping for because, as you guys know, having read Secret Invasion, he played a big part at the end of it.
Absolutely.
And, that would be great, but whatever. Sorry, Rich, did you have anything else?
No, I think that was about it for me. And I know you've got quite the slate yourself.
Ready? Let's open the treasure trove. Oh, wrong side.
All right, let's do this. All right, there is a lot of news. So I'm gonna make this really interesting for you guys. Do you want me to start with DC or do you want me to start with Marvel?
DC.
Okay, we're gonna start with DC. All right. So scrolling all of the all right. So one of the first things I'm going to do my best to keep this stuff brief because there is a lot, and I don't want to rush through this, but I also don't want to have the show be 3 hours. So first thing, there is a new Outsiders series that just got announced. That is currently in the works by writing duo Colin Kelly and Jackson Lanzig. These guys are apparently now everywhere working on both Marvel and DC projects. As we saw, they were working on Captain America. I believe now they're doing Guardians, or they're doing at least one or two other Marvel projects, and they're also doing Batman Beyond, and they're also doing now Outsiders.
I really like the art on that.
Yeah, Kari, the
bat cowl is looking beautiful.
Yeah, so essentially the book is a new lineup because, as you know, the Outsiders were a team that was founded by Batman when he was out with the Justice League, and we've had other versions of the team that didn't include Batman. I believe the last one in 2022 was all Black Lightning. This one is even more unique because it's just a two-person team. We have Luke Fox, aka Batwing, and we also now have Batwoman.
Cassandra.
No. Cassandra Cain is Batgirl.
Oh.
Damn it. Am I right? Kate Kane. Right. Kate. Is Catherine Kane. It's not Kathy. Kathy was one of them. Kate Kane. Right. So you have Batwoman. So it's a two-person team. They're kind of done being superheroes after the events of the upcoming Gotham War, which we've mentioned, I believe, is a battle between Batman and Catwoman after they have a really bad falling out. So they're going to stop being superheroes and they're going to start being super archaeologists. So they're going to be looking into the history of the DC universe. So how Lanzig and Kelly have kind of explained it there's been so many crises, there's so many universes that are falling apart. What survived? What's kind of fallen in between the cracks? So they said they kind of had it's like a Star Trek attitude. You're exploring these unknown hidden parts of the DCU. So it's something they've been working on for a while. They said that they're big fans, but they're cognizant of the legacy, but the goal is as much about doing something new and less when is whomever showing up. They said most of the time it's going to be they're not. Honestly, this is the kind of thing I like personally, something new, and I think it's very bold. And I'm like, okay, like I see you guys trying new things. So,
is it Elseworlds or
Nope.
is this going to be? This is continuity.
This is continuity. It's going to be a 12-issue series of a weird pop culture like adventure. It's expected to debut later this year.
Interesting.
So, I'm kind of liking that vibe. What do you guys think?
I'm down with it. I like me some archaeological digs. You know, I dig the archaeology. Yeah, I can't say that word.
Archaeology, buddy. Yeah, so it's them, Colin Kelly and Jason Landig, and it's art by Robert Kari. I don't know the name.
Don't know the name.
Yeah,
but if it's anything that looks like what's the picture there, looks pretty good.
Those covers are pretty beautiful. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
So another thing is we have more news on Joshua Williamson and Simone DeMio's upcoming Batman and Robin series that was announced earlier this year. San Diego, they really went into more of it. So they expanded that the comic is going to feature a teenager Damian Wayne. We're very we're used to seeing him as a kid. But now, actually, Kari, if you just back to the original one for a minute.
Oh, sorry.
So you're going to see him no longer, be dealing with assassins, not at odds with the Titans. He's in high school soccer team even, apparently. But according to Williamson, Damian will find himself at odds with the son of a famous Batman villain, but no idea who at this time.
Master Damian, get your cleats off in the house.
So the synopsis that the DC revealed says, from Batman versus Robin to Night Terrors, a lot has happened to the dynamic duo, but now they're back together and ready to fight crime in Gotham, just in time for Batman's most monstrous rogues to team up and turn the city into an urban jungle. A new villain watches from the shadows, intent on revenge, with a plot to turn one of Batman's greatest assets against him. Can Damian help his father solve the case before it's too late? Now, on another note, DC also announced a new villain whose name is Shush, who is, yes, the successor of the iconic villain, as we know, Hush, a.k.a. Thomas Elliot, who was a former friend of Bruce Wayne turned villain.
I feel like somebody was playing Scrabble with that, and they were just like, I got it.
Well, the fun thing is it did begin as a joke, as the character is set to debut in Batman Robin issue 2 on October 10th, where her motive will be revealed. So there's really no information that they've given so far about her identity, the connection to Tommy Elliott. But it does say she's that villain that they mentioned turning one of his assets against him in the first encounter. So if that's a gizmo on the utility belt, or if it's someone close to Bruce against him, it's still unclear. But, Jeremy, as a collector, you know how people are with first appearances. So,
So son of Hush, Shush.
All right. So now this one, I'm not going to lie, I am excited about, because being a kaiju fan, this one really intrigued me. Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah, I was just watching me some Kong this past weekend, and
so they've already announced news for it, but now the creative teams are talking about it. So one of the things that they revealed is that Godzilla is not just there to fuck shit up. As we've seen in a lot of the recent movies, Godzilla is an agent of order. So Godzilla and the other monsters who are now classified as Titans will come after the Justice League because they see themselves as restoring order in a world of ultraviolet superheroes. So they're in the DC universe for some reason. They see things are very chaotic with all the metahumans and the superheroes and such. So Godzilla is going to want to create order. And we're going to see a ton more than just Godzilla, according to what writer... I'm sorry.
Was
What?
that issue? I'm sorry. Was that picture that was on the left hand side of the screen look like sort of like a Mecha Kong but Batman?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm about to
Oh
get
my
to that in a second.
It's
So
Batman Kaiju.
So there are going to be more monsters. Brian Busalata, who we know is he's done a lot of work, but most recently Kari, we remember him. He did the later years of Injustice, year 1. So I believe he did 4 and 5.
Okay.
So he's doing the writing for that. The artwork, I don't unfortunately have that information off the top of my head, but I do know that Jim Lee is involved, as you can see by that gorgeous cover on the left. That does feature, as Rich pointed out, a giant bat mech to fight Godzilla toe to toe. So they say that
Prepared for this.
yes, they said it's not just Kong and Godzilla we're going to see that the Justice League is going to have to face. And when we say Justice League, you're going to have Green Lantern, Green Arrow, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Hawkgirl, and also Supergirl. Because the fun thing is, in the first issue, Superman is actually on vacation. So Supergirl is kind of stepping in. But according to Bucelato, we're going to see people from Gotham. We're going to see Titans. We're going to see auxiliary Justice League members. The cast is pretty big, and things are going to get crazy. So the first issue is expected to drop October 17th this year. I got to say, I'm excited about this one. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. What do you guys think?
I'm right with you. It's one of those stories where it can go any way. It doesn't matter. It doesn't need to take itself seriously at all.
Absolutely.
It's just for fun.
And Rich, I totally agree with you. It would be Batman to build a Pacific Rim style bat.
That alone versus Godzilla and Kong in any way has me in right there.
Right.
I don't need it anymore.
Yeah,
I can't wait until the cartoon comes out.
That's Rich's Rick and Morty son of a bitch I'm in moment. He was like, a Batmech? Son of a bitch I'm in.
And what was that, Kari? What did you say, Kari?
I was just going to beyond the Batman fans and you're going to get the Kaiju fans in. You're going to get just people who want to, this is silly. This is ridiculous. I must have it. You know, well, it's a big drop.
I think it'll be as big as the Batman TMNT crossover.
Yeah.
That's a very popular crossover series and very hard to find in cover price anymore.
It's true. It's very true. So following up on another thing, DC's Titans. They've been named the current Justice League in the Dawn of DC era, and now they have their first crossover event called Beast World. So during Jim Lee and Friends panel in San Diego, Tom Taylor, the writer who's juggling both Titans and Nightwing, announced that it will essentially find the former Teen Titans fighting off what is a new threat to the DC Universe on the left, whose name is Necrostar. So it's a sea star similar to Starro the Conqueror, but far more frightening. To be quite honest, the thing with the hair, it kind of freaks me out because it just looks like an upside down tarantula with longer arms, and that's just freaking me out. The synopsis that DC gives is, with Nightwing, Raven, Cyborg, and Titans behind, can Garfield Logan, who as we know is Beast Boy, rise to battle an ancient evil, or is he doomed to become the greatest threat to the DC universe? What will Amanda Waller do to take advantage of the situation as millions of people are changed into rampaging creatures? And can humanity survive all powerful superheroes and supervillains transformed into ferocious beasts? So Tom Taylor is collaborating with Blackest Night, New 52, Aquaman's Ivan Rice, which, if you've seen, Kari, if you can go back a second, on the right, that's one of his covers for the book. It looks gorgeous.
Oh, yeah.
I cannot bring that. And he is so thrilled And he did acknowledge in the same panel that Beast World will thread the needle between the series around about the Titans, and it's also going to tie into some of his Nightwing as well. So he said, friends will fall, superheroes will rise, and nothing will ever be the same again. Earth is about to become Beast World. So the event starts October 24th with the Tales of the Titans issue 4, and then DC Beast World 1 goes on sale November 2023, with the series expected to run through January 2024.
Does it state who caused the Animorphs of everybody or anything like that?
Most likely, I believe Necrostar probably has something to do with it, and probably Beast Boy is going to get caught up in it. It's really hard to say, but again, I like this. Seems really cool, and Tom Taylor is doing a great job. I'm reading both Nightwing and Titans. He's doing a stupendous job. So
Drew, ask for the general people out there that are not reading this new series yet. Since Titans are the Justice League, where are the Justice League?
They are now the new Titans Tower has officially been stationed as per Nightwing issue 100. It's now located in Bloodhaven. It formerly was in New York, where they tried to do the Titans Academy, but after Dark Crisis, that just fell to shit. So now the Titans are in Bloodhaven, and they're really doing their best to fill in for the Justice League.
Where are the original Justice League? I guess that's what I'm asking.
Since Dark Crisis, the Justice League apparently are no more. So I don't know if that means they've been disbanded, scattered through time, or they're just kind of doing a new 52, taking a break for a period of time. But I do know that the Titans have been asked to fill their spots, so they're no longer Teen Titans.
Well, Superman's on vacation, so
or he's got bigger shit. And funny you bring that up, Superman, because they also revealed this, which I thought was really cool, that they are having a supersized return of Superman.
I always love Superman with the mullet.
And then so essentially this is a new special on the occasion of the 30th anniversary. Now, for fans who may not remember, is that after Superman was killed by Doomsday during the Death of Superman arc, we had an event called Return of Superman, where we saw 4 different people show up, where it was kind of implied that each one of them could be Superman. And as the stories went on, we found that these Supermen were the Cyborg Superman, were John Henry Irons, aka Steel, the Eradicator, which is a Kryptonian robot, and of course Con-El, aka Connor Kent, aka Superboy, who would have eventually become a member of Young Justice and other things as such. So the cool thing about this, which I feel Rich would also appeal to you, is that all of the original creators are coming back for the book. So you have Dan Jurgens and Brett Breeding. You have Louise Simonson and John Bogendorf. And then Carl Kessel, Jerry Ordway, Tom Grummett, and Doug Hazelwood. So all those original creators are coming back for this book, kind of to revisit these stories. You're going to also have Travis Moore on art. You're going to have variants covers by Brad Walker, John Bogendorf, John Jiang, Dave Wilkins, Francis Manipal, and Ben Oliver. And both the standard cover and the foil will be by Jan Jurgens, who we know both is someone who will be a Terrificon, but was also the writer and artist behind the famous Death of Superman issue.
Mm-hmm.
So
Jerry Ordway, so you guys should definitely talk to them about it.
100%. Mm-hmm. So basically the point of this, as the DC stated, is that they're bringing back all the original team for new stories in the wake of Superman's death. And it begins with new Daily Planet editor-in-chief Lois Lane discovering Perry White's journals from the time and secrets he kept as he searched for who could be the next Superman. How could this discovery mean for our present? Find out in this issue. I mean, honestly, I think that's pretty cool, especially reuniting all these old creators back to retell these stories. Why not? That's pretty. It's kind of like getting the band back together for one more great show.
Let's do it.
Absolutely.
I mean,
The story that never dies.
I mean, listen, I believe DC also announced Superman issue 7 is supposed to be Superman 850 by numericals. So they've already announced that that's going to be a super big overstuffed issue. And I got to be honest with you, at this point, I'm over those. Like, they're great, but it's just
They
another
don't
excuse.
fit the bag.
Well, it's not even that, Jeremy, but I feel like it's just another excuse to sell it.
Double the price.
Yeah, to sell a $10 book. Like, don't get me wrong, it's going to be great, but
It'll probably be just an anthology book, anyways. That really doesn't hold any kind of.
Jeremy, that's exactly what it's going to be. They've already promised an oversized stuffed issue.
Yeah.
But all right, moving on, because there's still so much more. Now to Marvel. To me, my Marvels. So, I don't know if you guys know of the Timeless series, which are DC one-shots they've been doing since last year, which kind of are launching points for future stories in the Marvel Universe. They've announced a second one, or third one. Actually, it's the third one. So Colin Kelly and Jackson Lanzig, once again, they're here. They're taking over for writer Jed McKay, who did the last two. So you have these two, aka the Hive Mind, joined by the Timeless issue 1 artist Juan Cabal, who did the Cosmic Ghost Rider, telling this story essentially of a future where all of time and space is threatened by a certain ancient evil, aka the immortal Moon Knight, a nightmare that's Stark Tech, the Eternal Machine, the God of the Moon. So we're seeing Iron Man with a kind of a little Doctor Doomish vibe. We're seeing Moon Knight, aka Khonshu, and if you see there, the entity is also wearing an Eye of Agamotto, aka one of Doctor Strange's big powerhouses. So this is the big baddie. This is the Maestro, the Thanos, and its only opposition against, I guess, Khonshu's coming tide of chaos is Power Man. So Luke Cage is the last. He's the last final superhero, and apparently he wields the power of Sentry, the Hulk, and Iron Fist.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So, what dark, deeply personal conflict undermines this mind-bending apocalypse? And at the end of the line, can the Marvel Universe ever be truly saved? So, honestly, this feels like an awesome one-shot. Kind of in that realm of an Elseworld-y vibe, but I gotta say that's a lot of really cool stuff all thrown into one big one shot, and I'm kind of excited.
I liked how ripped he is, and he has all this stuff, but then the belt looks almost like, with the gray hair, it could be kind of a wrestling belt, or slightly like a little tummy girdle, just in case he's getting a little saggy at the bottom, because he is older. But I'm sure he's not.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Kari, but that also looks kind of like the belt that Sentry, Bob Reynolds wears. So I was like, wow. So
yeah,
but yeah,
everybody involved,
and he's definitely giving off a little bit of a Maestro vibe. Cage.
Yeah, he's got it's because it's the beard with the no hair, or the slightly bald, which is funny because
going back.
Yeah, it's totally the beard with the bald head. It gives it the Maestro vibe. Right. So that's December of this year that's going to be released. Kind of cool, not going to lie. Moving on.
We've been complaining a little bit, Drew, that they've been doing the same old thing, but it looks like they're starting to take our advice, and they're starting to swing for the fences with some interesting stuff.
Indeed. So, and speaking of something, kind of repeating something that's already been done, but doing it differently, I have a little bit more news about the return of the Superior Spider-Man. So, as we brought up, Dan Slott is back, but I found a little bit more news. It's Dan and Ryan Stegman, who collaborated originally for a lot of the Superior Spider-Man when it first started. for the big book, aka Superior Spider-Man Returns, you're going to see them collaborating again with Mark Bagley, Giuseppe Camuncoli, and Humberto Ramos, the last two being people that also collaborated with Slott during the Superior Spider-Man run. I know because I've met all of these people and I have had most of my Spider-Man runs signed by them. So you have them all together for this one big Mondo book coming out in October, I believe it's October 11th of this year. Superior Spider-Man Returns issue 1. They're promising a lot of big stuff. And at San Diego, they actually revealed that ahead of this book being released, that Slott will return for a Superior Spider-Man regular series with art by no other than Mark Bagley himself. So, I really enjoyed Superior Spider-Man. I'm saying, you did or you didn't?
I did.
Okay, cool. All right. I was like, I thought you just did. He was like, I did not. I'm like, well, sucks to be you.
No. I thought that was fun. I thought it was cool. Doc Ock as Spider-Man, and he's dating
Anne Marie Marconi. Yeah.
So like it was a good like twist in the Spider-Man world.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we will see.
Fingers and stuff.
We will see, because Stan Slott's work is a lot of hit or miss with fans, and Superior had a lot of mixed feelings with a lot of fans. So, and it did eventually win a pretty good fan base, which is I think why it came back. So hopefully Slott still got that Spidey magic.
Sure he does.
All right. Next, for all the Nightcrawler fans out there, they just announced Cy Spurrier and Wilton Santos are coming together on X-Men Blue Origins 1, which will clear up all misconceptions and such about Nightcrawler's origin story. So Chris Claremont went into some of that. There's been a lot of back and forth of rumors, half-truths, heartbreak. But you got Spurrier, who, Rich, as you remember, that's the guy who's handling the Uncanny Spider-Man Nightcrawler series that's I believe going to be happening during the Fall of X, currently out now. So we're going to learn the truth about Mystique and Nightcrawler. As Marvel said, you think you know how the beloved Blue Devil came into this troubled world. You think you know the tale of his mendacious Mama Mystique. You don't. Mother and son reunite in a mold-shattering tale that exposes secrets held for decades and redefines both characters forever.
Consider my mind blown. I did not know Mystique was Nightcrawler's mom.
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's been for years. I mean, that was in the X-Men cartoon. That's been in the comics.
Was it?
Yeah.
That was in the cartoon.
His dad is supposed to be Azazel.
Yeah, it's true.
I knew that about Azazel. I don't know.
Wasn't Rogue also
Mystique?
Yeah.
Mystique's daughter?
Know about that.
No, not her daughter.
Okay.
She was sort of like
adopted daughter.
Yeah, like an adopted daughter, exactly.
Yeah.
I remember reading the comics where she's like sitting there making sure she's okay and checks up on her.
So essentially how Spurrier's looking at this is that he's coming in with the best respect for all the stories of the past, but it's by shifting perspective. He's kind of calling out what can be trusted, what's reliable, and then doing this joint story where you explore both Mystique and Nightcrawler. You get a tale that's essentially going to influence all stories for both characters going forward. So they're swinging big on this one. And this will be out November 29th. You've already got that great cover by Francis Manipal. Cy Spurrier, Wilton Santos is the artist. I don't know. It looks kind of, I'm not going to lie. Again, I like this too. I think this is kind of cool, especially giving a definitive instead of, is this or isn't this? Like sometimes you do need a bit of a concrete foundation for a character.
And I like that they're pulling the Spider-Man costume still onto Kurt past that one series.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm very excited about that. And And speaking of X-Men, this is going to be a very brief story. They announced San Diego Comic-Con, Dr. Doom will be putting together his own group of X-Men.
All right.
I need to say this all from his country of Latveria, by the way, his own team. So this will be debuting in X-Men 29 as part of the long-going / ongoing run by writer Jerry Dugan and artist Joshua Cassera. So essentially, the way that it's been looked, since some of these I believe are going to be New Mutants, is that Joshua Cassera equated it to kind of like putting together a team of Pokemon. His daughter's big into that. So he said, it's like, what kind of Pokemon do you have? There's electrical, there's a plant. So essentially, this is Dr. Doom assembling his own X-Men. And as you saw on that cover there, you see Kamala Khan fighting, see Wolverine. I don't know one or two of these others, but
I'm assuming we're getting a few new introductions in this.
Indeed. So this will be out December this year. So
put it on your poll, people.
Indeed. So, and speaking of new introductions, we talked last time that at San Diego Comic-Con, they were going to be revealing who the new Punisher is. They have done so. The new Punisher will be Joe Garrison, a former S.H.I.E.L.D. agent and an original character.
Okay.
So essentially, the man may be different, but the punishment remains the same. According to writer David Pepose, him and artist Dave Watcher want to essentially introduce, Kari, you might like this analogy, the Danny Ketch to Frank's Johnny Blaze.
Got that, yeah.
Yeah. So with essentially crime is still happening, criminals need to be essentially aware that a Punisher is still out there. You have the new Punisher, retired S.H.I.E.L.D. Black Ops agent Joe Garrison. But the questions, of course, what brings him back to action? What puts him on the path to vengeance? And can he even make it out alive? I mean, Frank Castle kind of didn't. Although it's been revealed that Frank Castle, again, is not dead. He has just ended up in Weird World.
You're kidding me, Drew.
No, I know. So essentially, they're aiming for, they want to get the existing Punisher fans and new fans. So there's going to be no loss of attitude, action, no pedal off that metal in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, so this will be feasting.
Oh, true.
Yeah, this will be out November 8th.
So once again, Marvel deaths mean nothing.
Exactly. Abso-fucking-lutely, Mr. Velvet Stirrer. Marvel deaths mean absolutely bupkis when there's books to sell. And fun fact, speaking of a slightly controversial book, to end our discussion, Amazing Spider-Man has announced that they have a new storyline. Kari, please. Amazing Spider-Man's arc in November 2023 will be something called Gang War, where villains are fighting villains. Hobgoblin, Mr. Negative, the Owl, Shotgun, Diamondback, AIM, Hydra, and more are all battling for New York supremacy. So for Peter Parker, he decides he's going to basically declare his own war on this. So he is General Spidey, leading a group of heroes that includes Miles Morales, She-Hulk, Daredevil, and Spider-Woman. The goal is to take down all the super gangs in under 48 hours. But how does this tie into Mayor Luke Cage and the city's strong anti-vigilante laws? Will Jackpot be involved? Is Shang-Chi a friend or foe? Who knows? Marvel's already revealed a checklist for the event. Gang War's First Strike will essentially start kind of laying the groundwork in November 2023. And then 2 months later, aka January 2024, the event will begin with Amazing Spider-Man issue 39, which is yet again another oversized issue. I see what they're trying to do, bringing it back to a more street hero level and kind of bringing Spider-Man back to his roots as a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I'm sorry, I still kind of don't care.
Yeah, I mean, they did this years ago, like a Gang Wars type thing when it was a Tombstone and Hammerhead
And Doc
and a few others.
Yeah, I remember that because the Jackal was in the middle trying to instigate them to kill each other so he could take power. Yeah.
So, just they're taking a story, recycling it, and trying to give it a little bit of a new twist with adding heroes.
And I have to say, Rich, I'm kind of noticing that the last two big eras of Spider-Man, like Nick Spencer's work did a lot of that, kind of taking old characters, recycling. It feels like Spider-Man is unfortunately kind of caught in a bit of a creative rut where instead of doing new things, we're just taking the past and putting a new coat of paint. And it's a damn shame because Spider-Man is, let's be honest with you, he's the most recognized Marvel hero of them all. So to see him kind of caught in this loop is kind of sad.
Yeah, and when he's so popular in the cinematic universe and the animated universe, but they're really failing in the comic universe these days. And I know they're trying with some stuff, but they just seem to be like swinging and missing quite a bit.
So that's all that I had from San Diego. I know there were things that I saw that I was like, okay, that's cool, but either I didn't care or there really wasn't too much, so there's not much to say. But San Diego, guys.
Yeah, still whipping it out, hardcore.
Oh, and one more thing I did see some of the pictures from San Diego's Hellfire Gala. Some people really brought their A game.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Very beautiful.
And Drew, from a cosplay aspect, I don't know if you saw, someone did an incredible, more than a life-size Rhino.
Really? No.
Pretty.
I did not.
Look out for that one. Google it.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
100%. All right, but that's pretty much everything I had, guys. So I guess let's get to the book.
So we got Superman Secret Origin and Jar Jar.
And now I just realized
proper shirt for it.
Yeah, and I just realized that the person who picked it is not here.
Yeah. That is called irony. That's what that's called, Jar Jar. That's called irony.
So we got Secret Origins with Jeff Johns and Gary Frank.
Yes, and it's really funny because I was doing some research about Secret Origin, because again, this is the third. Origin story. Well, technically fourth if you want to count Superman for All Seasons, which I kind of do. Because originally you had John Byrne's Man of Steel in the 80s, which was the new origin. Then you had, if you want to count 1999's Superman for All Seasons, it's kind of an origin story, kind of isn't. And then you had Superman Birthright by Mark Waid and Leinil Yu, which kind of modernized it, tried to incorporate a lot of modern stuff with the Smallville Superman, And then at one point, they had it where both of those stories were like the canon Superman. But after Infinite Crisis, there really was no definitive origin of Superman, which, him being one of the most recognized heroes of them all, they just couldn't have that. So that's where DC was like, hey, you're Jeff Johns and you're Gary Frank. You guys did Superman the Legion. And you did Superman the Brainiac story. Like, do you want to do an origin story? Like, the definitive origin. And they were like, sure. And it's funny because around that time, there was also a Green Lantern Secret Origin story, which was, funny enough, written by Jeff Johns. But that was already part of it. It was the late editor, Dan DiDio's, at that time he was the editor. It was his idea for this to be a mini series and not part of the ongoing Superman or Action Comics stuff. So, yeah. So, and that's where we saw a lot of stuff that we haven't seen in a lot of other origin stories, like the Superboy meeting the Legion, or Superman meeting the Parasite, because there aren't modern retellings of those. So
Now, has there ever been a telling before, Drew, where Lex also lived in Smallville?
I think, if I'm correct, I believe Birthright touched on that a little bit, because that's part of Smallville and whatnot. But the funny thing, though, is that Jeff Johns really wanted the story to be aligned with the modern stories, but he wanted to kind of make it its own thing versus kind of borrowing from Man of Steel and Birthright. His point was it was a secret origin by him and Gary Frank. Because he loves this idea that origin stories, it's about introducing the characters and introducing the mythology to a bigger audience, and also kind of letting new readers, kind of inviting them in, kind of like think like what the Ultimate Universe was trying to do. Mm-hmm. So, and for Gary Frank, his idea of doing it was clarity. He wanted people just to enjoy the story, and you don't give a fuck about what is and what isn't canon. Like, I'm sure you guys noticed that his Superman is a nice mix of how Kurt Swan drew the hero back in the day and Christopher Reeve.
Christopher Reeves all the way. I'm just like, good Lord, that's Christopher Reeves. I love it.
Yeah. So personally, I have to say this, and I'm not, again, as you all know, I'm not the biggest Superman fan. I do own some Superman books, and I do somehow really enjoy Superman origin stories, and this I enjoyed. I thought Jeff Johns did a really good job with this, but I have always been a fan of his collaborations with Gary Frank. He did Rich. We looked at Batman Earth 1. That was Jeff Johns and Gary Frank. Mm-hmm. They also did Jar Jar. They also did Doomsday Clock together. That was that DC sequel to Watchmen.
Yeah,
the one that was like horribly delayed for like 2 years.
Yeah, I remember that. It was a great series, but yeah, it took a long time to come out.
Yeah, and that kind of killed its momentum. But they're stupendous collaborators, and I think this was just great. I mean, it felt very real to me.
I've got to rave about Gary Frank's art in this. If you've never seen Gary Frank as an artist, this should be your intro book. And then after that, you're going to want to look for more, because it's beautiful. He does a fantastic job. From
his use of lighting is amazing.
It's just sharp, and it makes me want to see so much more. And again, I am also not a huge Superman fan, but this kind of story really ties you in. And the humanity of like young Clark discovering his powers, trying to be careful. Lana already knows his secret. She's in love with him. He doesn't feel the same way. It's very real human stories. On one hand, I understood why they did the Legion, but on the other hand, I didn't feel like it was necessary, but they were trying to give it that classic feel.
Right. Well, especially, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Rich, but just remember, I think they were also trying to incorporate that a lot of early adventures of Superman, when he was Superboy, involved the Legion. So that's kind of their way of tying it in, but kind of, keeping true to the Legion. And I thought that they did a really nice way of balancing everything. I mean, that's what I essentially saw this whole thing being, is it's a beautiful balancing act,
Right. And then the interaction between him and Lois, not just him as Superman, but him as both identities, Clark and Superman. She sees something in him right away.
Right.
In both characters that are more than what they are.
Absolutely. And
it was great. I loved it.
Although I have to be honest with you, I really liked how they did the Parasite in this. Like, I thought the explanation that he was a parasite even before he was ever supercharged was pretty great. The Metallo was okay. I was like, you're just kind of there, like the real. Let's be real. The real villain of the story, as always, is Lex Luthor, and he is just like Jeff Johns just writes Lex Luthor just perfectly. The right amount of genius and arrogance, and just the how dare you, Superman, for being you, ruining my perfect world by being you. Like, it was just great.
You're asking for nothing. You want to help for what? For no reason, and you're an alien. That's a problem.
Absolutely. And then, Kari, what did you think, Kari?
I was kind of underwhelmed by it. I did like the artwork and the way that the story was told, but it was, again, I've simply because of the amount of comics I've been reading lately, I have read so many origin stories over and over that a lot of it didn't feel new to me.
Right.
And I know it was presented in a different way, but it's still just kind of like, okay, and Lex is bad, but they're kind of friendly at times. And then there's Jimmy, who's the sweetest little kid in the world. And then, Superman is all like, oh, I want to be just it's like almost Pinocchio. I just want to be a real boy. It almost feels like anymore. And can I be your kid? And then, yeah, it was graphically, it's gorgeous.
Right.
And I did like, throwing in Parasite as one of the things right away to show how strong it was a different way of showing how strong he was. I think that it started like, you taste like amazing, and you're like an endless bowl of pasta, I believe was something he was saying about him. And silly Jimmy getting him to pose in ways like this, which just makes him look stupid. But
I think it's fantastic that he would do that. It's all like, hey, my buddy needs help. I'm going to go pose for him.
It makes him look a little arrogant, though. I don't think he's kind of naive, and I can't tell exactly how naive Superman ever is, really. Like, I know he's smarter than he puts out with the Clark Kent persona a lot, but some things he really just doesn't get because he's just a country boy,
right?
Well, yeah, the Parasite guy was totally taking it. Rudy there was totally taking advantage of him, being like, hey, I didn't bring my lunch. I need money to get home. I had a total love-hate with this. Like, I loved the artwork, but the first 3 issues I could have totally done without.
Well, Jar Jar, they have to set it up.
Oh, I totally understand. Don't get me wrong. It's just, as Kari was saying, I've read so many origin stories that, like,
you're Supergirl burnout.
Yeah, it's, while I felt like it was different, and don't get me wrong, I'm so happy we didn't get another Pa Kent killing off and stuff like that. But the Legion, everything was kind of like, okay, I know this story. Then you got to Parasite and Metallo, and I was like, all right, finally some action.
Question in this scene real quick, and then go back to it, so I'll just keep going. But is this supposed to be a callback, or am I just being one of those conspiracy people? Because when he first shook his hand, he tried to squeeze it and he crushed it, and then this one it's the same guy and he just okay.
Yeah,
so
that's
that was an intentional. Okay.
And then on top of it, just the way the suit is very essentially it's an early version of Lex's. His famous LexCorp super suit. With the mech build and the kryptonite in the center. I will say, if I have one complaint, the redesign for Metallo, I was just like, no. He needs to be a machine man with a kryptonite heart. Like I was like, no. Parasite, I was fine with, because I was like, yeah. You always it's funny because ever since we reread All-Star Superman, I don't know why, but the Parasite creeps me the fuck out. And I think it's about how he's drawn.
Parasite is one of Superman's best villains, I think.
Yeah,
it's hard to defeat him without giving him more power.
Absolutely, and it's just but And I'm sorry, when he referenced Superman as a big bowl of pasta, I was like, that is the biggest fat kid thing you could ever say. Like, I was like, oh my God, someone take him out, please. I will say though, I loved the ending where Lex Luthor is going out to meet the people and they're gone.
Yeah.
That was something else I enjoyed in this, was having him go out. Something I hadn't seen before was when he goes out every day and makes somebody's miracle. And I hadn't seen that before.
Yeah, like I said, it was a lot of interesting, good stuff. And, as an origin, this is one of the shorter ones and one of the less heavier ones. Like, again, the rare thing, Kari, for this Superman origin is we see a lot of this from Clark's perspective, which is usually something we didn't have with other origin stories. And there really is very little showing of Krypton versus Birthright and Man of Steel, where Krypton was very much a big part of the story. And Critch, you would remember, especially, and John Burns, that's a huge part of the story.
Oh, yeah.
But I will say one thing I do enjoy is that no matter what, Brando's Kal-El is still like the de facto, hair, beard. You can just see him just talk. Yeah, my son, you're going to go and do great things in this little rocket that we proposed. Your Uncle Benny made it. I got a good deal, okay? So we're gonna put him in, and it's going to have a lot of good powers. It's going to be good.
The yellow sun is going to work for you.
Yeah, that yellow sun we're sending them through, it's going to be great. It's going to be wonderful. Yeah, we had to send this rocket out on the day of your godmother's wedding day. It's a lot of mischievous. It's great. But, no, like I said, in terms of an origin story, okay, I need to say this. I'm fine that this is the last one. Because by now I've read 4 of them, and I was like, there's no other way I want to see this. It's kind of like origin stories are like.
This will not be the last one. This will not be the last one.
No, I know, but this is the last. In my mind, this is the last one for now. And honestly, origin stories are like Superman and Batman. There's one for everybody.
The only way I'll read another origin story is if Tom King does it.
Fair enough. But yeah. So I honestly, I liked it. I say, I don't know. Do you guys want to just review it and then we go home?
Yeah, it sounds like the room split. So
I'm already there.
Start at the top. Kari, how you rate that bad boy?
It gets a little more than. It gets a little bit more for the artwork in it. I'm going to give it a 3.5 rockets.
Okay.
All right.
All right, Rich.
For me, I'm going to give it 4 Kryptonian hearts.
Oh, nice. Okay. You know what, Rich? I'm going to back your play too. I think it's a solid 4. Jeff Johns' work is pretty great. He does. I will give him credit. He does do Superman very well. Gary Frank's artwork cannot be denied. Nobody draws a sneer like he does. I will say that. And I'm sorry, anytime we see Superman looking like Christopher Reeve is a gift. So, yeah, 4 for me. So, Jar Jar.
I'm going to join Kari in being in the 3.5 range. The art saved this story up until issue 3 for me. After issue 3, mind you, it got a lot more interesting and a lot more fun.
Okay.
But yeah, 3.5 Kryptonian heart.
Wow, we're evenly divided. This is pretty nice. Okay, well.
All right. Gonna
Barry, take us home.
Yep. All right. If you want to get in touch with me, everybody, you can just look up Kari Sanders on Facebook. If you see the crow, that is me. Every single thing that I am on is linked to there. You'll find me hanging out with these guys on the Darkening, sometimes on Splash Pages, most of the times on the Midweek Geeks. Other than that, I'm also over on the Owl Light Network. And going along with that, so is my friend here, Jeremy.
Hey, that's a wrap, folks. Thanks for checking out Splash Pages this week. As always, if you liked what you saw, put a little like, subscribe, share it to your friends. If you'd like to hang out with me anytime, check me out on Facebook. Name's Jeremy Courtney. If you want to buy, sell, trade, or auction off your vintage comic books or toys or whatever dork stuff you might have, check out Comic Book Lovers Buy, Sell, Trade, and Auction House on Facebook, and trade and sell and buy with 20,000 other nerds. And check out Splash Pages every week at 8 p.m. on Tuesdays, and the Midweek Geeks every week at 9 p.m. on Wednesdays. And that's it. Until next time, keep those pages turning.
All right, Drew.
Hi, everyone. It's true. And if you really want to get a special link, come to Terrificon. We'll all be there. You can laugh when we can tell you to get out on your own terms. Seriously, I'll do that all day. I'm Drew Mollo on Facebook. I'm Ghostbuster Man 1984 on Instagram. I'm still technically working with Screen Rant. It's been a minute, but I'm trying to get back to that. I pop up on other shows just because people who ask me I like. Otherwise, I'd be like, fuck off. I'm a nerd. I do nerdy things. I live my life. Leave a message after the beep.
Joker, give us some energy on the way out.
Hey.
Your man, Velvet J, on another award-winning Splash Page. It's been Tuesday night. We gave you a lot of San Diego news, and these guys are all going to go to Terrificon. I can't go, but I know they're going to bring me some great content for me to cut up. I can't wait. There's a lot of great artists, a lot of great actors, a lot of great voice people, a lot of great cosplayers. You guys have a great time. Bring it on back. Have a great time. I love you. Good night.
Okay.
All
cool.
right.
That was intense.
Yeah.
You asked for energy. I gave it to you.
Yeah,
I got what I asked.
I always deliver.
Let's go home, everybody.
All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you.